Well, good morning, Brew and Activate, folks. It is Friday. And we are so beyond messed up here this morning. I apologize in advance if things don't go well. I had everything set up and ready to rock and roll, and of course, you know what they say is a couple of hours of prevention to get yourself staged and ready means a pound of headache later, as they say. I don't know how that phrase goes, but anyway, welcome. Good morning. How are you doing? How are things there? It looks like we got a bunch of folks in the chat already. Good to see you guys this morning. Always a pleasure. You guys are great. But with that, Shannon, how are you doing this morning?
Well, I'm sure everyone's going to be able to hear when I start to talk. I have a little bit of a cold, so I apologize in advance if I am not my normal, happy, peppy Shannon self. But, I have a cup of tea, a cup of PG Tips, so hopefully that'll help to soothe and lubricate my throat.
So,
And you can see that I'm coming to you from London.
London, I know. I was gonna say at this point that was my problem. Is like maybe you caught something on the plane, or
Exactly. You know how that, transatlantic travel can be.
Yep. Everybody pile into a big giant metal container and see what you can collect at the end. It's like your parting gift. All right. Well, good morning. Like I say, I haven't finished my coffee yet. That's how bad I am backed up here. But yeah, welcome to Brew and Activate. We are your park guides. We're the mentors, the lovers of all things POTA, and welcome to another Brew and Activate, folks. Hopefully you guys are ready to dive into some good content today. I had it all staged, all set up, so my apologies if we seem a little disheveled and out of whack because I had to reboot for some reason because my audio decided to take a vacation, apparently. So I had to, give it the old boot in the butt to make things come back in line here. But yeah, so we are Brew and Activate. So for those that I see a few new names in the chat there, so thank you guys for hanging out with us this morning. We are pretty much the POTA guides, as I said. We love to analyze, reconstruct, tear into POTA in Parks on the Air. So whether maybe you're an activator, maybe you're a hunter, or this is, POTA is a brand new thing to you, or even ham radio, then you're at the right place. So we always like to make sure we highlight the good, the bad, interesting. And we just always try to dive into the latest activations, tips, challenges, and quirky moments for sure. And this is definitely one of the top 10s this week. All right. Oh, yeah. Haha there, Grouch. Never an audio issue. I am not the one with computer problems. I was running perfectly fine before you showed up on the scene. Just kidding. All right. Anyway, so with that, we're just going to dive in a few little admin details here just to catch everybody up so they know what's going on. Every week, we like to keep this stream definitely ad-free, so we always can, rely on super chats and memberships and all of the like to keep that going that way, because we all know that the ad revenue for most of our content creators here is so small that your support, obviously, one time is always helpful for the channel to keep us going and keep this ad-free for you guys in the future. So, and then we've got a couple other great things. Obviously, if you haven't already heard, we have a podcast version of this. So if you're maybe a road warrior or you have to work your jobby job during the week while we do this live stream on Friday, we apologize first and foremost, but, we have a backup plan, and that backup plan is our podcast. So you can get this streamed right to your favorite podcast player. And you can pick that link up in all of our descriptions and show notes. And eventually, I think probably we will be moving this to, the podcast directory so you can find us, everywhere and anywhere. But for now, you can always pick us up here for those that are in the chat and still want to get in there, is the link to our podcast. And so I'm always interested to see what your feedback is. So, definitely let us know if there's anything we can do to make that better or improve on it, or, if it's just a great feed in general. So you can also check out all of our content from both, Shannon and I, and our links are all there in the show notes. I am getting close to 5,000 subscribers, so we could always use the help. So please, like, share, subscribe, get other folks involved, because once we hit the 5,000 subscriber giveaway, we get some interesting giveaway items and some cool content to kind of share with you guys. So, as we creep closer to that, we could always use your help. So feel free to, spread the love, as they say. And, heck, we'll eventually get Shannon up there. I mean, you're a long way off from 1,000 subscribers, though, right?
Yeah, I think I have 170 right now.
Okay, come on, guys, let's go. Like we just have the power of the internet, the power of the HamTube community. Spread the love. Give some Shannon, some love there. I just saw another post on our Discord about another, YL who's just starting a YouTube channel. She already has 400 subscribers. What gives, guys? Come on. And she has like one video. Like, what's going on? Not showing Shannon the love here. We're just doing her an injustice for sure. She's, she deals with our crap. She comes on all of our shows. She hangs out with us, and Grouch is, one to give her crap as well. But we all love her, and so do the same. Show some love to her channel. Make sure you go over there, subscribe, spread the love there for sure. And the last thing is head over to our Discord. We always love to continue these conversations, and all of the topic, updates and stuff can be found over on our Live Free and Ham Discord. And that link here is in all of our descriptions and on my website. But there it is for those in the chat that haven't joined. I would love to see you guys over there. Come on over to the Brew Activate channel there specifically. Pick up the conversation, say hello, and we'd love to have you come join in and all the fun. And lastly, for those that may not have saw the post up on the Discord, we finally got the wiki up. So we've been pouring into that wiki. And that is been pinned in our Brew and Activate channel there. So check that out and make sure you head over there, because we're always looking for folks to contribute. Doesn't require, we're not selling any of your information. So if you want to sign up, it's just mainly for security and dealing with all the bots that can ruin a wiki pretty fast. So head on over there, check that out. And we'd love to have you guys contribute. And all the stuff that we talk about here today is also over at that wiki too and available. So again, it's really just kind of our POTA guide, POTA field guide, as I think we're titling it. And it's a community resource for all of the things that we talk about here on the show and in general that we find that, is useful and can definitely add to both your activation or maybe you're a hunter. So I think that's it. Outside of that, we're going to skip over the POTA minute because I slacked this week and for some reason I had a notepad that I somehow lost and it had all of my POTA minutes on it and I got to figure out where that is. So we will resume. I know Shannon's shaking her head. It's like, what was this? An amateur show? Yes, it is an amateur show.
I love the POTA minute theme song. So
well, I can play that. So, give me a sec, take a sip, but we'll just play the theme song for Shannon. There you go. No problem. I'm going to the wrong screen here.
It wouldn't be Brew and Activate if we didn't hear the POTA minute.
The POTA minute. Well, there you go. So, kind of take a pause here real quick. Shannon, anybody want to say hello there in the chat? I saw a lot of text messages flying by this morning.
Yeah, we got everybody in the chat. We got Chris, KD9, YSW just joined. K8KAZ has been there from the beginning, and they said they were wearing their Shannon shirt from the Grouch's store. So, and I think they said they posted a picture on the Discord of it. So go ahead, check that out. If you want your own Shannon shirt, then, check out Grouch's Fourth Wall store. We got Grouch in the chat. He's getting ready to do a jump, and then he's going to be doing a POTA tomorrow with Julian Vaughn, he said. We got Roger McKeon in the chat. Of course, Jabberjaw Shannon K1LY, which I worked her call sign neighbor on Sunday, I think it was, via the remote over in England. So I was using my 2E0 OHT call sign from Massachusetts remote into England, and K1LZ was in Massachusetts remoting into the Jonesboro main station, that gigantic contest station. So that was cool.
Very cool. And you've got a new announcement that I figure, and let me pop over to our screen share real quick because I want to share it with everybody because I think it's definitely well worthwhile. And we do have, I just sent out a bunch of free memberships from the channel there, so we'll highlight those in a second. Let me grab my screen share here real quick. And I want to pull up a special page, if I can go to the right page here. Why not? All right. So we are going to highlight. I think that is really cool. It's already been hot seller here. So why is this not coming on? Okay, my screen. Oh, I got a screen share. That would be helpful. I've actually got to share the window out. Okay, so do your best. You see
All
it?
right.
There
Yeah.
we go.
So I think, didn't we announce this before? Maybe we didn't. I
No,
can't remember.
nope. You
So
spread it around the internet, and it's been like crazy. I mean, we've had so many orders. I'm trying to keep up with it, but yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so no, we definitely did mention this because Shannon had asked for a long sleeve shirt version and I made a long sleeve shirt
Okay. Well,
version. And I
mention it
think,
again.
were you supposed to push the long sleeve shirt
I
version to
have
the
not
store for
yet.
me?
I'm a
You're
slacker. The
I'm
long
gonna
sleeve will be available there.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So you're going to be fired. But if you guys, I started this event, the International Women's Day YL POTA Party. It's on March 8th every year. I started it in 2023. So this is going to be the third year that we're doing it here in 2026. And this year I came out with a t-shirt for it. So, with the help of everybody loves ChatGPT, we got this great design of the Rosie the Riveter character with the pink headphones and the microphone, and it has International Women's Day YL POTA Party and the date on it. So if you want to get that shirt, check out the Live Free and Ham store. And just like Shannon wanted a long sleeve shirt, if there's something that you guys want, ask, and if we can provide it, we'll try to provide it. If you want this shirt in a different color, we'll try to add that color if it's available. If you want it as a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, a long sleeve shirt, give us a shout. And, we aim to provide to you, the viewers, what the viewers want from us.
Heard
So,
it here.
we are here for you.
Yes, we are.
And,
Fabulous.
if you have a shirt idea, let us know. If we can make your shirt happen, then, you'll see it in the store.
Yeah, and everybody knows the infamous "This is how I roll." So this is also in the store, and she keeps adding stuff. So and we've got a whole bunch of N1JUR stuff I had mentioned last week with Brew and Activate. We've got some interesting things coming up on the horizon. Those that were maybe on Ham Radio Clubhouse saw my interest, in a few items from Shane there, but those will be coming soon. So you have to stay tuned to hear that announcement. But we'll be doing maybe a few giveaways. We'll see how that one goes. So I'm looking forward to seeing those come soon. Yeah, and so you can always, like I said, head over and check out Brew and Activate here. Our hats and swag and stickers and all that other stuff. So feel free to, definitely support the channel that way if you feel so inclined wearing your Brew and Activate stuff. And, I know I wear it proudly myself. All right, enough of that.
Yeah, Chris KD9YSW just said he loves his Hot for Ham Radio shirt. I didn't know he had one either. How many people have ordered this shirt?
You should ask Grouch because it's coming out of his shop. All right, let's go back to the main view here. Cool. I did see, okay, Mr. James. Sweet. Bring the F10 next time you hit Marconi. Oh, yes. Oh, cool. All right, James. Yeah, good to see you there. James, I just recognized your post there. Good to see you. I definitely got to get down to the Cape again to do another activation there for sure. And good to see you there. Yep, definitely much. Level up 100%. Get your general. Okay. All right. Well, enough of all of the usuals here. Let's kind of get into some of our topic today. So I guess this is, again, another listener-submitted topic. A few folks from other episodes had thrown me a few suggestions, and this was kind of right in line, again, with some of my other kind of plans for topics. And so it just made sense to just kind of roll right into, something that's pretty fresh in people's minds. So we're going to kind of talk about propagation and dive into that from the mindset of a fifth grader, because I figured, if we try to get too technical here, we might lose half of our audience. I know I'll probably fall asleep, and Shannon might have to wake me up or something like that, because it's It's not a good thing. Propagation stuff is like watching paint dry a lot for me. I get it, but I don't get it, like, at the same time. You ever have that, like, scenario? It's like, yeah, it makes sense, and then you walk away 2 seconds later like, "What did I just hear?"
Yeah, pretty much. But,
Okay.
that's what, made me think of, do you remember that show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Yes.
Did you used
Yep.
to watch that? Are
Oh,
you sm
maybe once or twice.
are you
After
s
that, I tuned out.
are you smarter than a 5th grader, Eric?
Uh, you will have to just determine that at the very end of this show, and then you can give me feedback and post over on the Discord and
Alright,
let us
yeah,
know whether or
we'll
not.
at the end of the show, we'll have a poll on the Discord. Was Eric smarter than a 5th grader, yes or
There we
no?
go. If you know Shannon gets quiet really quickly, she's putting that together as we speak. All right. Well, so let's kind of dive in here. So let's. I promised Shannon, and I said in the channel there early in the week that we were not going to be doing my whiteboard sessions, but I didn't say anything about PowerPoint presentations. So we are just changing gears here a little bit. So we're going to head over to my favorite screen share screen here, and let me grab this and turn this off here. All right, so let's talk. We are talking about propagation. And so I want to kind of set a little bit of an expectation here. And first and foremost, I'm not a super subject matter expert. I'm learning just as much as you guys are. And so I might make mistakes. I probably will trip over some of my, information here. But it's really, I want to kind of give you two things here. First and foremost, propagation is, and I love this statement, propagation is probabilities and it's not a guarantee. I think a lot of times hams, we in general think absolute with everything. Like we see a radio hook up to antenna, has coax and like all of that, like linear thinking. It's all very like concrete. When it gets into propagation, I think is where all of us kind of check out at some different level. There are some, space geek folks that love to do that stuff and dive into it and love to watch like the Space Weather Woman and all of that stuff. But the one thing I'm learning and the one thing I kind of came up with was that it's a probability, not a guarantee. So what you look at right now in that moment in time is really at that moment in time, or it's a guesstimate, or it's a best guess. Educated guess is the best way to kind of look at it, because there is a lot of math and a lot of, calculation in the background. But it's definitely at least a tool to measure and to understand what's going on in that, kind of slice in time. What we're trying to do today is we're trying to stack the deck in our favor. I'm not predicting the future. I don't have the crystal ball. And if you happen to have one, let me know. I will happily, ask to borrow it, maybe do a review on the channel, maybe take a little,
Can we get
leeway.
the lottery numbers?
Exactly. Take a little leeway to, stack the deck in my favor, as I said. So, we're not about predicting the future. We're really trying to use these tools that I'm going to show you and some of the stuff that we're talking about today in a way that you can be effective when you get out there and do your activations. And hunters, you're pretty much in the same boat here. I know we haven't done enough in the hunter realm yet, but don't trust me, guys. If you're a hunter in the POTA world, we are gonna, dedicate a chunk of space and time for you guys. So, don't worry about that. We will, that is coming soon. All right, from a propagation standpoint, and again, this is from a 5-year-old standpoint. So we are gonna use a little slides here. And so if my first slide here is the proverbial slide that everybody sees when people talk about propagation. And, this one is obviously talking about line of sight, sky wave, and ground waves. But again, really, propagation in essence in a 5-year-old mentality is the sun shines on the sky. We all know that. The sky gets bendy when the sun shines or doesn't shine, depending on, what time of the day and other factors. And your radio signal, when it leaves your antenna, it goes up, it bends, and comes back down somewhere else. It's never a guarantee. It's never, absolute. Like, again, back to that, propagation is probabilities, not guarantees, thing in those mindsets. So once you bounce off something, and we know, a good example a lot of times is if you've ever been in an echoey room, you see all of the surfaces echo your voice. That is kind of the same way radio propagation works, is that it's bouncing off of different layers. It's either getting absorbed or it's taking, a different path down or being refracted. But again, it's all about bending and, curving. So, a lot of things in my mind think about bend it like Beckham, like, how can you curve a, baseball? How can you curve a soccer ball? Kind of that kind of sense. So remember that sky does bend our signals. and they bend them really well because we are able to hear halfway around the world. We're able to get, radio frequencies from, where we are at the current moment in time, whether it's our QTH or out in a park, and hear signals in Australia, in, Belize, everywhere you can think of, and that all is pertinent and dependent on, our atmosphere and how each of those layers. And, I'm not going to go into those layers today because, again, we're trying to think in the mindset of a 5-year-old. Once we start talking about those layers and how they behave, trust me, this is where I start to check out. People start to go, oh, well, how does this really boil down to something important? We're going to try to keep it simple here, but with the idea that, you can have something when you leave here to be effective when you do a POTA activation, or, try to hunt from your shack. So our next slide here is we're going to talk about our favorite, 2-3-letter words that we all giggle in some level or, some fashion when we first started ham radio. We're like, you saw this in the, the question pool, or, in a, review as you're going through, learning and studying for your technician. Everyone like laughs at the MUF, laughs at the LUF, and they're like, what the hell is all that? And so, I'm not going to spend too much time, in those areas, because I think a lot of our folks that are here in the chat have an idea of what the MUF is the maximum usable frequency, or the LUF, which is the least or lowest usable frequency. But where I think they lose the breakdown or the connection between all of it is primarily in understanding what they represent for us as ham radio operators when we go out and activate. So think about this as again, in the mindset of a fifth grade, in the mindset of a fifth grader here. MUF is like your highest pitch frequency whistle. So like you might be, you get one of those really loud coach whistles, and you basically whistle, and you're pushing as much air through it. Your audio, or that audio from that, from that whistle, is traveling in the air, and it's bouncing off objects. And depending on where you are, and like using my room example, when you go into a very echoey room, many surfaces can cause different levels of refraction of that, signal, that audio, and so you might think you're hearing one thing, and, it might be coming from a totally different area. Same thing kind of goes with, radio frequencies. So it's like a lot of times your radio frequency will go up, and you think you might, hit the D layer or the F layer or any of those layers. It might hit a different pocket. It may hit a different area, or cut through at a different point. It may shoot itself straight out and, to the atmosphere, and you'll never make any connections, but you never really know exactly what that looks like, because all of that atmosphere kind of is doing different things at different times. And so you might have to think about it in terms of, if your radio frequency, say, is too high. And what I mean by radio frequency, we're actually looking at the frequency level. So like 28.5 or, 3.525 or whatever. All of those have different wavelengths, and all of those wavelengths then at that point also can, be affected by the time, day, mode, and frequency. And whether or not it actually will travel either, back down to Earth, or will continue to go into space. Now, the simple thing to kind of think in this sense is that if it's below that high mark, so when you're looking at those values, and a good thing, like if folks may or may not have, one, I would say is might worth be building. If you have a geochron, or if you don't have geochron and you have like a ham clock does a really great representation of layers of the MUF and LUF. And really those will give you the high and low water marks to be able to play within the boundaries. And so one of the things you want to think about is that, like, say in this chart, and this is just a very simplified view of here, is that if the MUF is very high, meaning that, it's from a number that we're looking at, and that number represents the highest frequency that could be heard at that time, in terms of the signal, relay and stations and stuff like that. And it might be worthwhile a future discussion of how that's all calculated. But we're gonna have to have somebody smarter to come on and tell us, that. But there's a bunch of stations all around the world that all calculate this and give us that number. And this is what they're receiving back. So they give a high number of, say, like the high MUF is like, say 10 meters, 28.7 or whatever, making up some number. Well, you might want to think in your mind or kind of lock in your brain a little bit as a high mark. Well, if the MUF is high, then 10, 12, and 15 meter bands are going to be pretty active. Then, well, you're going to probably say to me, well, how do you know that? Well, there are tools and ways we can determine that, or at least do a check, or sanity check, as I say, on that. Well, the other side of the coin goes, well, hey, if the MUF is really low, meaning that, the number's smaller, or it's a different frequency of a smaller or a lower band, maybe you want to try 20, 30, or 40. And I'm going to show you some examples on how to be able to look at that and then use these tools to be able to measure and come to some general consensus that, this is where you want to play. And we've got a couple of guides too as well that I think will be very helpful for you guys to kind of follow along. All right, so the ham version, and I like to kind of break this out a little bit.
And I just posted in the chat the link that I like to use to find the maximum usable frequency over your location. So, post in the chat, what is the maximum usable frequency over your location right now? Up in the northeast of the United States, and actually it looks like over much of the United States, it's like 41 megahertz right now.
It's pretty high. that is going to be tough for us for sure. Although I think we got a couple of solar conditions too as well. So that is going to be a little bit of a challenge. Okay. So feel free to jump in, Shannon, if I'm not watching the chat fully. So if there's something there that you want to share or we want to throw in, cut me right off, please. I can continue on. Because I'm not trusting my notes because I had to reboot. Everything's all screwed up. So I'm just going through what I have here as the best I can. So if you're a ham, and you want to kind of, put this in a concrete state, your MUF can change by time of day, sun activity, just like Shannon mentioned, the distance you're trying to cover. And this is a critical thing, I think, that a lot of us forget. It's like, where do you want your signal to roughly go is really kind of a something that a lot of us, when we do a POTA park, we don't think about because we're like, oh, the biggest thing in my mind, and maybe Shannon, you can say something different if it's not the same for you, is you'll go out to a POTA park and you're more excited about being the DX and being the, the pile-up guy that, you're more interested in how long can I sustain my, natural high of a pile-up more than, how far I'm really making out. So you get that same feeling or you...
I mean, honestly, I love a good pile up. It gives me such an adrenaline rush, but I do also like to try to reach as far as I possibly can. So, that's why my favorite band personally is 10 meters. I think all the best long distance DXs I've ever gotten has been on 10 meters.
It has, yeah. It definitely is a magic band, and we'll get into a little bit of that in a second as to why it's dubbed the. So if your your distance you're trying to cover is something you may want to start to maybe consider, because I know, like Shannon had mentioned, is like I enjoy doing the pile-ups. I enjoy making contacts. I will definitely jump to 10 myself to get that DX. But if you're really trying to stretch yourself and trying to learn how to be able to deal with propagation and use the tools you have and the antennas you have and all the equipment, then you might want to think like, hey, where can I kind of target today? And you can also look back at your history as well in terms of your activations. Because like I know I see Sean Alpha 4. Did I just call something right?
Everybody knows Sean.
Yeah, Sean. Thank you. Yeah, please. Yeah, there you go. Jackhole is what I was thinking of. So, like, he just posted his latest, spread map on our Discord there, and you look at that and you're like, oh, cool. I can see kind of where he's targeting and what the farthest he's got. So those things are definitely helpful tools in doing kind of past analysis and then helping you in the future of your future POTA activations. But one thing to think about is that your MUF is usually higher during the day, and that usually can vary. So if you're a morning activator versus say mid-afternoon, or your evening guy, those times of the days you might have learned just by kind of through osmosis and activations what bands perform best for you. And the same goes as like if you obviously activate at night, 40 meters might be a better band to be able to stay focused on and make contacts with, just because of its properties and benefits that it brings at that time of the day. If you're solely thinking POTA here, well, the MUF is always high, like I said, they're always probably going to be busy. They're going to be on fire in some cases, depending on, what goes on in the background. But, if it's low, you want to try to 20, 30, 40. I'm not a big 30-meter guy at all. Do you do a lot of 30 meters at all, Shannon?
Not really, because it's
Yeah,
30 meters is only digital, and,
sure.
I don't do digital out in the field, really.
Oh, right. Sorry. Digital. Is it too high? So should I put my pinky up there? Uh, Digital. My gosh. Please do some digital, girl.
I mean, I do digital from home, so I
Well,
could probably do digital 30 meters at home, but I think it tends to make some of my electronics a little crazy, so
mhm. Okay. Well, nothing a Toro you can't fix, as I know. All right. With that, LUF being the lowest, it's always going to be quiet on voice, but the sky can still sort of hear you. So keep that in mind. Like listen, the old adage of listen, listen, listen is the idea that listen to see what your signals sound like. Can you hear weaker? Like, are you struggling to hear weaker signals? Are they coming out louder, stronger? Do you hear a static noise? All of those things are well worth. Oh my gosh, you out of the person should never talk, because that's all you ever did was digital, my friend, until I showed you the microphone and how to press that PTT. So yeah, if you go too low in frequency, your signal is going to get eaten up by the noise. So kind of keep that in mind. You don't want to go below that. You don't want to, kind of try things out. So say if the LUF is, 40 meter band. Don't try to do bands, like 80 or 60 or that, that type of band. Not 80, not 60, but think about that, because you'll get into static, you'll get into dealing with absorption of your signal, and QRN will kick your ass for sure. So other things here that I've already kind of touched upon. Daytime, bad space weather is going to always mess up your conditions in some cases. You're always going to get louder atmospheric noises. You're going to get some static. You might get some more RFI, generated by it, or your signals just may not be there because they just are getting so covered up. But when you get into that LUF is a key thing when you get into nighttime. I've learned that kind of through summer field day events, that when we get into the nighttime hours, the bands, tend to become a little bit more, hearable in comparison to the days that they struggle when they're in the beginning of the days versus, towards the end of the night. So learning things like that. All right. So what we're going to do next is talk about sweet spots here. So this one is what I call the MUF and LUF sandwich. So this is your propagation sandwich. The best way to kind of describe this, again, in that mindset of a fifth grader, your first top slice is always going to be your MUF. The lower bottom is always going to be the LUF, and the stuff in the middle, which is always the best. I mean, nobody really just gets a sandwich for the bread, although that is a compliment or to it, but it never shines out and stands out. It's always the stuff in the middle that makes it well worth the effort. That's all the good stuff. That's those are the bands that you want to become familiar with. You want to understand how and what their properties can do for you at the times of day you're doing your activation. And those tend to be, mostly the common ones that we go to, 20, 30, and 40 for different reasons. Anything in the chat, Shannon, we want to throw in there that people are raising their fist at?
Yeah, Rabbit Ham says we need this on a shirt, and I think there could be something there. It's a ham sandwich.
All right. Well, we'll take that under advisement, my friend. If ham sandwich. Okay. Cool. We will we'll see what we can do with a little help from AI and ChatGPT, because sometimes my brain is gonna be stretched too hard to make that one work. But that's kind of in this scenario with this little sandwich here, 20. We know most of the time 20 is always a given band. Everybody goes to it. Like whether you're I'm set up for 20 a lot of times with my antennas. I don't really ever spend any time kind of thinking about it when I do a POTA activation, and this is a good, kind of refocus for me, because I just kind of get in and do something, and 20 was always my go-to no matter what time of the day. I may have paid attention at the time. I'm like, oh, it's 2:00. Well, I'm going to have to be on 20 kind of thing. You ever really strategize your bands, Shannon, or you just kind of go at a whim when you go activating?
I have no strategery, no.
No strategery. Okay, excellent. You guys are all right. So
My
with
goal is to always be on 10 meters. That is my goal.
well, then you do. So that is a strategy then, because you were always like, come hell or high water, sir. It's always 10 meters. So, yeah, I won't
Maybe
put
we
any
need
tomatoes on your shirt,
maybe
Mike.
maybe we need, like, a 10-meter army shirt.
Grouch. You're sitting around watching us. Get to it. All right. So let's kind of get into some good stuff. So, like, as I was saying, 20 is the all the time band, works for me. 40 is what we call the POTA workhorse. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a couple of seconds on why it is the workhorse. And 10, like Shannon says, it's either amazing or it's dead. I mean, 10 will giveth and taketh away just as quickly as it wants to. It's very much like, I don't understand why the 6 meter got the magic band, connotation, when 10 really had it way before 6 meters did.
Well, 6 meters is much more like, a VHF band, but it can go very far, further than line of sight when, you get that weird, crazy propagation.
True.
Sporadic-y
And
or
that might be magic, but
tropospheric
10 meters can be the
touching
same
or
way too. 10 meters can be, in the can and crap, and, you just get nothing out of it, or you get really lucky and you're making contacts halfway around the world. And so I feel like that requires some level of magic, because there's not an antenna that I can pull out of my bag that says I'm going to guarantee that I'm going to get 10 meters and I'm going to get a lot of contacts. There are days that I've gone to 10 for 10 after I did 20, and 20 was meh. But then when I went to 10, I was like, wow, I just literally, in 5 minutes, activated a park. Okay, so let's talk about some of the, nuts and bolts. Let's get down to brass tacks here. Let's talk about, what it takes to kind of get this, into your hands, so you can start doing some of this, wizardry to make your POTA activations work to your benefit here. So if we look at some of the tools here, we're going to talk a bunch of them, and these will all be in the show notes after. So if you want to refer back to them, I'll also include them as links on the wiki there, and we'll make sure we dive over the wiki at the very end of this, so you guys can see it and know that it actually exists and get access to it to help, either look at it or be part of it. We'd love to always have your input. Okay, so we'll talk, pulling up the screen share here. We're going to go and grab the first link here. And that is, no, that's my notes. I don't want that. Stop. There we go. We are amateurs here. Okay. Okay. There we go. That's the one I want. So these are what we call, our first tool in line. This is the solar conditions. So like Shannon had mentioned before, you might have a solar app on your phone. You might have, a couple of links that you use. These are a few that I think, from a standpoint of being straightforward and easy to read, and kind of follow the same model that we see a lot of, like I have the SFI tool app on my phone, which is basically kind of like a different readout of this. But this is a website called solar.wsmmw.net. They provide pretty much a clear, easy to visualize, map of what's going on in the conditions. And so each of these represent in some different ways, some useful information and some, very, like scratch your head, like what does the number mean kind of thing. And so I'm going to touch on a very, very high level of this. If this is something somebody or this crew, you guys want to dive in deeper to kind of really understand this stuff, let me know in the chat. And Shannon, if you see anything, we will, or, head over to our Discord and post it over there. Let me know if this is something you want to do. That way, I'll bring in some of the major experts, and they can, help us decipher some of these numbers and really kind of get it down to, a clear understanding. So if we look at this, obviously you get the HF band info, and this is, all the bands all in line. And I always hear from everybody at the time, like, oh, it says good here. So I'm sure I'm going to be able to make millions of contacts on the band, and I'm going to be able to like do everything I need to do when I go out and activate on 20 or 30. Let me clarify again, back to that statement. It's about prediction, not guarantees. And so this is just a summary of, all of that detail rolled up into something based off of a severity level. Now, good means just that, good. It could be really great in some areas of the country. It could be really good, or it could be really good, bad kind of thing. Like you could hear a lot more, QRN, you could hear, different things, because each area of the world, wherever you're activating, is going to be affected by other, we'll say atmospheric, conditions, depending on, whatever, whatever solar storms might be happening, that type of stuff. That's why when you see that solar globe, you'll see like different targeted areas and a sunburst kind of pattern. Well, that's affecting kind of that geographic region. So, where somebody like, say, Sean and Shannon might have really good propagation where they're at, I might not have that great propagation on 20. I mean, it's the same thing kind of goes like 2 days ago, I was trying to work Grouch on FT8, 40 meters. I couldn't hear him at all, like no matter what. And I mean, he was definitely out there. I was barely hitting, and getting out there on the RBN, but the band conditions were just very tough for where I was. And I was only hearing a lot of more localized stations than I was hearing, beyond the kind of the general scope there. So
And
use these as a rule of thumb. Go ahead.
yeah, so like here's the thing, right? You guys got to think about is like say, everybody they want to get to work all states, right? And we all want to work Alaska. All right. So you got to think about right now when you look at the maximum usable frequency map, the MUF over Alaska right now is like 4 megahertz, or depending on where you are, it might be like 7 megahertz. So like you are not going to get Alaska on 20 meters right now, probably,
Yep.
unless, you wait until later in the day when the sun kind of starts to move over more towards that side of the earth. Their MUF is going to come up a little bit. So you might be able to get Alaska on 20 meters. But like right now, they are, on like barely even 40 meters and probably like 80 meters, 160 meters.
Yep. Yeah. So along that same lines, higher MUF is going to be higher bands that are open. The K index is going to be a number, and that's kind of one of the things I wanted to pull out here. A lot of hams you'll hear refer to this KP index or the K index or the A index. These two numbers represent, overall activity in terms of, the geomagnetic disturbances and things that are, kind of all happening to make up that number. And each of those numbers represent something good. So like in the case of a 2, for the K index, happy radio, everything's kind of good. You should, in most cases, most of those bands that are, MUF or LUF, or just in general that are in the good condition, you're probably going to get some signals. You're probably going to hear, contacts, maybe more localized, maybe more ground wave, maybe more, atmospheric. You never know quite sure. But in essence, at least in your head, you can lock in, okay, well, I'm going to have at least somewhat of a good success rate. Your A index is a number, and I can't remember, this is always an average. Is it better to have a higher number or a lower number? Is it always, I think it's higher. Yeah, it's always higher, right?
For which number?
The A, your A index, because my notes
Uh,
don't show it.
I don't know. I never pay attention to the A index. I pay attention to the SFI, the
Yeah.
SN, and then the K. If
Okay.
the K is high, that's bad. K low, good.
There you go. We talk good. Yes. So yeah, anything kind of using Shannon's radio analogy there, anything higher than, say a 4 on the K index, you're going to struggle for sure. And it's a good reference, but I've always used the A index, and I thought that if that number reaches either double or triple digits, it's in a really good scenario. Those in the chat that are smarter than me, please, help me, help you. All right. The next reference I have here, which is actually, this is the solar index here. Yeah, so this is another solar index. This is the SFI that Shannon was referring to that we talked about a little bit. These are all those numbers, and most people look at these numbers and go, well, what do the frickin' they mean to me? Like you said, you're not going to always see something that's useful for you here, but we won't get into too much detail of this. This is like a good, overall. Tortoise, I'm on the line. Stop calling me. The levels of here in terms of HF conditions, again, that good, bad, low, average, better, best, is that kind of that same format when you get into solar conditions, when you're talking about your good, poor, ratings here. So that's just another kind of way to break it out and give you an idea. So based off of your megahertz levels, so say you want to operate on, the 14 meter, 14 meter band, 20 meter band. So that's like 14, right now, currently at today, it's, minus 15 or less than 15. So, those bands are going to be a little tougher today to be able to get out there and start using. And, something to consider, obviously, when you go out to operate. If you try to hop on 20, you're probably going to find that you're going to be very sad. So
Yeah,
the
I
next,
heard, when the SFI is over 200, that's when you call in a sick day for work.
Mhm. Got it. We'll have to put that on a t-shirt too. Do you have a doctor's note that says some rare disease that you can give to your management that says why you're calling it sick? Because that might be helpful. So we'll create a guide here on all this, the excuses that you could use when the
How
SFI index is
yeah,
200.
how to get out of work to play more radio.
There you go. All right, the next one is vocap. We all have heard this in some form or fashion. Great tool. This tool, you can spend hours, and ask me how I know. Going through all of the detail on this, there's a lot of great information that you can call out of this, again, along the same lines. But the benefit to the vocap is that you can actually narrow it down to your specific area. So if you know your Latin lawn, you can target that. And then you can start to filter and build off of that and find that the information coming back is going to be very, very useful and very, very, helpful in the sense of, your MUF, your LUF, how, the overall SFI is behaving and what you might be hearing in terms of overall signals. So if this, again, is something that, folks would love to be able to get into more detail, I've got a couple people that are very, very more intelligent and know how to use this tool. And the power of it. So we'd love to have those guys on and talk more about using vocap to your benefit. I know Josh, Hammer Your Crash Course, has done a little bit of this on there. So he's got a bunch of videos out there. And there's a slew of stuff out there. But, I'd love to always get somebody in here who knows how to be able to use the tool and use it well. The other network we have is Reverse Beacon Network. Now, a lot of people don't use this. I know it's out there. It's been available. It's a great tool that I've used every once in a while. I need to get it more in my rapport and use of my checks on a daily basis. Because this one, you can actually go in and you can set a different band selection modes. You can do it for a range. You can show all the spotters out there. So if you want to drill in, these are all your current spotters, and these are all the signals currently by being reported on the RBN, as well as all of the stations that it has heard out there. The benefit to this, again, CW is a really good mode because it's a lot like FT8. It's, you'll get CW signals out there much more efficiently. And therefore, that information can be reported better in terms of actually how propagation is working versus voice, because voice is, one of those things that can change and be manipulated. So it's one of those things. Using this tool, at least give you an idea of where, again, whether that MUF and LUF is, the information you're seeing is, confirming your suspicions. All right. And then the last piece was once you've kind of gone through all of those tools, well, let's do some real world boots on the ground kind of scenario. Head over to your spotting page on POTA.app. I use this more often than I find, just because it's just a learned habit, is that I'll come into the Parks on the Air page, even after looking at the SFI indexes, just to see, hey, where is most of the activity? And the nice part about the spotting page is that the filtering is both great on the app, as well as, this on the browser. And you can filter by all of the specific frequencies, but you can see at a very quick glance, oh my gosh, 20 today has 62 stations on there at the current moment. Whereas like, say, 10 meters has only 20. Well, if we pop over there real quick, this is all just sideband.
I mean, 20 on 10 meters is pretty good. It sounds like
Yeah,
there's a lot of people out there on POTA on a Friday trying to get their New Year's
years,
activations
yeah.
in.
Thank you for the reminder. I got to go do that. Okay, you got what, 4 more days before it's like the first 7
Yeah,
days of the year,
yeah,
right?
you get an award for making activating a POTA park, and I think there's a hunter one too,
There
hunting
is.
a POTA park within the first week of the new year. So everybody get out there in the first week of the new year and get those POTA awards because we're paper chasers, right?
Chase
We
the paper.
love that wallpaper, those awards.
Yeah, we all love them. Yes, for sure. So with here, like one thing I'll give you kind of little tips and tricks with this one is obviously look at the spotting page, look at like the locations. So, you know, you can see that we've got a bunch of stations that are DX here. We've got obviously Michigan's coming through here. Well, Ohio, Florida, North Carolina, you know, yeah, all over the map. So this kind of gives you a good idea, at least where I'm looking right now on 10 meters. I'm seeing some stations that are mostly DX by the looks of it. I'm seeing that they're out there. They're getting 5.9s from a lot of folks. So take that for a grain of salt for sure, although this one seems to be pretty accurate. Yeah, this is a good kind of indicator, especially if you've done nothing else in terms of doing a prep. Use at least the spotting page as a reference to be able to get an idea of what might be out there. Now, again, it's not a guarantee of where you're at. So remember that, keep that file in the back of your mind that wherever you set up at that moment, you may only be able to hear like 3 of these stations or 4 of these stations, but it gives you at least an idea that, you know, you might have some success on 10 meters more than say, you know, some of the other more popular or, you know, workhorse style bands. So yeah, use this as a great reference. Is always well, you know, reserved for, you know, getting up to the minute kind of status of what's going on. Let me see if I keep going through my notes. Yeah, if you see very little spots, if you find you're going to, you know, a lot of these stations, and I've seen a couple of times where we've had a solar storm roll through, and these numbers are like barely in double digits. Well, you might want to get, you know, like Shannon said, another cup of coffee, check back a little later, decide to pack it in, go do something different, you know, go build that, you know, the attenuator kit that you've been, you know, putting off for a while, and then come back the next day, because you might find that just conditions are just too hard for anything to be heard, and you'll struggle. You know, it's funny, is like Carlos was on Clubhouse a couple of days ago, and I was there with him, and he was talking about how he, you know, struggled to make 4 contacts where he's at on 10 watts, you know, on, you know, most of the popular bands. And then the SFI index probably was very tough at the scenario. So he was spending 90 minutes calling CQ. Well, using again, these tools might help you not get to a place where you're unsuccessful and you can get that 10 contacts, you know, on a very tough day. So having these available, having these, you know, doing those checks as much as you can, is definitely something you want to do before you get out, and that way you increase your success rate of being able to activate the park if that's your ultimate goal. I on the other hand, I don't care if I fail or not. I'm out there for the experience. I love the fact, you know, playing and learning and growing and understanding is something that I always aspire to and want to make sure that I'm always doing. All right, going through my notes here. Let's see if we're all still on track. So yeah, those are some of the tools here, and those will all be in the show notes at the end of this. I'm going to pause here for a second. Shannon, anything you want to throw in from the chat there while I go to some of my other stuff here?
No, we got some new people that joined in. We got W9EGL, Robert in Montgomery. We got Zen Maker 2522. I don't think I've seen that name before, so welcome. WECB 640 is a new one. We got Joe K9JPP Ham. Good morning.
Cool.
And yeah, so we got a good crew in here today.
Very cool. All right. Good deal. All right. So we're going to talk what I'm going to dub as make a band plan. And you want to have a goal. And I know this kind of falls into the type A bucket for some folks where, you know, people like Shannon may not throw the baby out with the bathwater or whatever.
I
Let's
would
just
never
go
think
for it.
that Eric was a type A person with his whiteboard sessions.
No, or yeah, well, whatever. So we're going to talk a little bit of a band plan. Now, this is a loosely fitted 5-year-old kind of approach. Go in with 2 goals. primary band and a backup band, or just know in your head what your primary and backup bands are. Because if you don't, if anything, you only do one thing out of all of the stuff I'm teaching you today, go to the Parks on the Air website, look at the spotting page, because that'll at least give you some comfort level of, what your suspicions are, or what you maybe set your antenna up for last time you did a POTA activation, whether or not that band's going to be worth it. So yeah, go in with that, start to look at the spotting page, then think about like what you got. And this is always the approach of the N+1, having multiple antennas, having multiple different configurations is always important when you're going out there and activating, because you just never know. Like if you can have a backup plan to your backup plan to your backup plan, then your experience in activating is always going to be that much better, because you always can fall back on something different. Like my example of that would be, okay, I have a vertical. I use my, Mad Dog Coil 80. I have that with me. And if, for whatever reason, I forget coax or I forget those things, or just the band conditions aren't that great, or I'm not hearing a lot of signals, well, my backup plan is to go to the truck, grab out of the saddlebags my, NFET halfway from Reliance. And so that's a 40 through 10. And I set that up off the mast off the back of the truck, or I'll take the mast and I'll lay it on a tree and configure it that way. And, from those two, scenarios, I've got enough of an option to be able to work the bands that are available at the time of the day, whatever the SFI index says, whatever I get from the POTA page. And it just really helps me cement in a better success of being able to make contacts, get out there and do the stuff. So having that is probably more important than, say, having a band plan kind of approach, but both of them can go in very handy, because if you, like in life, we were all taught and trained when we did the class presentations, if you do a little preparation in advance, which I'm wondering if Shannon actually did any preparation for those class things when, that she had to present in front of the class, or she just winged it?
Nope.
She's shaking her
I
head.
wing it all the way.
Okay. So that is your strategy. That works. Yeah. Do a little extra thought process, plan around that. And then that way, even if you don't bring all of your antennas with you, which I'd say, why wouldn't you? Because it just makes sense. And a lot of these antennas today are pretty easy to pack down and, store pretty small. So, having those with you is definitely good.
When your one antenna is like a 17-foot vertical, collapsible whip, then you
Yep.
can have all of your antennas with you. You can have 6 meters through 20 meters. And when you put that together with a coil, you can, probably get 40 and 80 too, at least. So,
Very true.
that exactly what you said is what I was going to say, when you're talking about making a band plan is, have multi-banded antennas for POTA,
Yep.
especially.
Very much so. Yeah. And so, abiding by all the rules that we talked about in the back, leave no trace behind, that kind of stuff. Try not to, wreck nature before, for those ahead of us, can enjoy too as well. But having, the old adage of like, having a vertical, you might not be able to hear a lot of signals because the propagation's causing that, the antenna is better, a wire antenna might be better suited to be able to hear in those scenarios. So think in terms like that. Here's kind of a band strategy. And this is really just kind of something you can kind of file in the back of your head, or like I like to say a lot, file in the back of your computer. You're in the middle of the daytime. Start on 20. Like that's kind of why I've just developed and learned that on my own. And now I know why I did that, because based off of the times and the days and when I do my activations, it's in the middle of my workday kind of thing. So 20 was always the go-to, and I always knew roughly, that I was going to have some success there. But if 20 doesn't work out well, try 15, go to 10. I'm finding very good success by doing both of those bands. And I don't do 15 a lot. And I should be slapped on the wrist and tarred and feathered, because I don't take advantage of all of the bands that I should. And always kind of threw my nose up to folks like, several folks. Oh yeah, I started on 15. And it's like, why would you do that? Like you have 10 and 20. Like, why would you, like, what's the point? And now I realize the benefits, because, depending on what might be going on and all of those little things that we're learning as we start to do more activations, 15 and 10 might be really, really good if that SFI index is really high. And then as always, as I referred to very early on, 40 is always the workhorse. It's always the band that's always going to be available when everything, all else fails kind of thing. Use that as your backup plan. So there's 3 bands right there. So where Shannon mentioned having a woofer or a coil that does 80 through 10, you got them all covered, or 80 through 6. If you got a wire antenna, get a wire antenna that's either 80 through 10 or 40 through 6, 40 through 10, kind of things. They're all out there. They're all available. Or if you want to make your own, think in terms of multi-bandedness, like Shannon mentioned before, because it'll help you in the long run being able to switch and be able to adjust and make, the best attempt at your activation.
Or just have a random wire with a manual tuner.
Oh God, more things to bring.
They do
I'm a resident man.
They do make very small manual tuners, at least for QRP. I don't know what is the smallest one that you can get that you can use 100 watts on.
Yeah, I have the Prol 2 and whatnot, and that I think can do 100, no problem. My only problem is the damn thing runs off a battery, and I forgot.
That's why I just said a manual tuner.
Too manual.
I actually have my manual tuner right here.
Then I might as well just hook that antenna up to the radio and listen by ear kind of thing. This is basically what you're trying to tell me. All right. Maybe we already talked about, afternoon, evening. So, one of the things, daytime is, to give you time frames, from like, say, 9 to right around 2 o'clock. When 3, 4 o'clock rolls around, that's more afternoon times. Start on 20, move to 40, because I find same experience, you're going to get better results because that's kind of just where the gray line's moving and all of that other type. And I haven't done 30, so I can't speak for it myself, but a lot of people go to 30 for digital and CW. So if you, Shannon, I know you're working on your CW, this is a reason for you now to move to 30.
But I don't want to. But I don't want to do digital. 30 is only digital.
No, you can do CW digital.
Okay, well, that is true, and that was supposed to be one of my POTA bucket list goals was to learn CW, and I've been a naughty girl. I haven't been studying, so
Be nice, Crouch.
Fire me now.
All right. So then the last piece is nighttime. So this is any time when it starts to get dark around here, which is pretty much after 4:30, which I hate. Started with 40, do 30, maybe try 80. I mean, I have never done 80 in the night. Actually, no, I have, but it's also been field day. And my success was May, but I need to put more time in learning those bands and follow Mike's mantra that leave no band left behind kind of thing. So. All right, so let's talk kind of common activation mistakes here. Like I said, one of those things would be only bringing one band. I still don't understand why you just bring a mono band, antenna, unless you happen to just bring a whip. But you can get out of a whip on a base, you can get at least 10, 20, 15, 17 in some cases. So get your longest whip as you possibly can. Just, again, stick to that multi-band approach. Don't give up after 10 minutes. That is one of the things that I stress. Unless you're confined to time, don't give up. Try going a little longer. Try, like as I mentioned, Carlos as an example there. He called CQ for 90 minutes. That's a long time. But, yeah, keep it going. Keep trying to make those contacts. And then spin the dial a little bit, instead of calling CQ, try moving to a different band, try hunting, try finding other stations, get park to parks, that type of thing, mix it up to be able to see what you can hear, what you can, listen, and who can hear you. And lastly, which, in my mind, I was like, I put this anyway, but don't trust yesterday's propagation, because I've done that once or twice thinking, oh, well, yesterday's bands were really good. Well, guess what? Today's bands could be totally different, and a lot of other things can play into fact. So using the tools that I mentioned at the very beginning, always good, and it'll help, eliminate that, last bullet item there. All right, so the last piece here, let me add the slide in because I didn't do it, because why not? Here we go. Let's do my wrap up here real quick. So you get to see this live. All right, so this is wrap up for today. What we're going to say is that you don't need to understand the math. Simple as that. You hear it all the time from a lot of the YouTubers, ham tubers up here. We don't math on stream. Well, that's 100% true. You don't have to know the math. If you feel so nerdish that you need to, do that. But in essence, you don't have to. You just have to rely on some of the tools that we've already talked about here. Again, the three things to kind of think about: MUF, too high, all your signals just go out into space. They get eaten up, absorbed, that whole ordeal. Too low on the LUF, everything gets eaten up. So you don't get either way. So play in that middle of that sandwich there. Get the benefit of using the bands that are available based off those too high and low points. And then stay in the middle and have fun. Simple as that, guys. This will help and go a long way. If anything you got out of all this, those are the three key items I'd say that you can get out of this and take out to your next activation. But please, if you've used any of these tools, head on over to our Discord. Let us know. Share some of the stuff and your, experience with that. Here's the link for the Discord for those folks that may not have it or missed that earlier. Come on over, be part of the conversation, because I think we can all learn from this. I am not a solar weather expert, and nor do I play one on TV. So with that being said, anything we glazed out of the chat there, Shannon, we want to throw in?
Nope, just my best friend Mike Golf Zero RFD. He said that my antenna tuner is a proper tuner. So thank you for that. And now we're talking about CW, since you can do CW on 30 meters. So let's all hold each other accountable for our Morse code learning journeys. Maybe we need that as a channel under Brew and Activate, learning Morse code. We can
Okay.
we can all do our morsels.
For those Morse folks, let me know, and I will be glad to add that for sure. Maybe go back to our main views here, so you catch all of our NSR glory or whatever. Anyway, all right. As you can tell, we are at the tail end here, so hopefully you totally got something out of this content. The last piece, actually, and I totally forgot, man. I am
You're a mess.
I am a mess. I am totally a mess here. So let me go over here and let's talk about the wiki real quick, so folks have an idea of what I mean by that it actually does exist. So let's go back to this screen share real quick. And let me go grab my screen share here. There we go. Minus. Okay. So this is the wiki, and the wiki you can find here, and here it is in the chat there. We finally got it up and running. It's all set up. It is, if you want to post or edit or add to it, you got to just set up a quick account, throw your call sign, create your own password. You're good to go. But it is everything that I have put up currently on our website, or my N1JOR website. But at the same time, I have also added in the guides today that we talked about. So here's a couple of things. So the propagation checklist, this is all the same stuff I talked about before. So if you want to grab this, you can snarf it off and put it into your favorite notes file or create a PDF. Or everyone loves a flowchart. I created a lovely band decision flowchart. So I was going to try to add my humor to this, but I figured I'd keep it a little serious, so I minimized it a little bit. So back to the flowchart here. So simple, easy kind of thing. Hey, you're going to start here. So is it daytime or nighttime? Well, how does it behave? It's 10 or 15. Go to these bands. Is it working? Log. If it's dead, go to this band. By the time you get all the way down here and you've tried 80 as the last band, is it working? My advice is your antenna is probably not plugged in if you've gotten to that point, in the whole process. So,
which
check that first.
To be honest, I have definitely forgotten to plug in the antenna on maybe more than one occasion. So we all do it.
So this might be a very helpful graph to have you available, especially if you're looking for a way to troubleshoot. So that is all up on the wiki there. So let me know what you guys think of it. And if there's stuff you want to add to it, feel free to create an account and log in, and we'll just keep contributing to this. Again, this whole purpose is community driven. It's really, out there for us as a whole. And I want to be able to, create a source that people can just go to be able to get quick bits of information, links or stuff like that. I know there's plenty of other resources out there that I don't want to take away from, but at the same time, this is just something our community is kind of building here, and who knows where it will go. And I just want to make it available to you guys and have you guys contribute and be part of it. So there's that. And I didn't mention it, but I'm going to just put a quick plug in here, and we'll bring more of attention to it next week. I wanted to talk about, the POTA bucket list. So those that have not had a chance, head on over and make sure you get your POTA bucket list in, or if you've updated it, go ahead and send me your updates. As we will be setting up from that current list of folks I have, I'll be sending out emails in the next couple of days to you guys to see if we can schedule a time to maybe do a private live stream kind of thing, and that way we can all kind of just share and learn and talk, and I've got a bunch of little things that I want to kind of get you guys involved in, and maybe we can start to work towards getting some of those bucket list items knocked off our POTA bucket list there. And so let me grab that link real quick. There we go. That way, if you haven't, this is your time here. You can throw that in there. All right, so there's the link there for you guys. And so with that, I think we are ready to put a bow on the end of this one here. So any last minute things you want to add there, Shannon, or we?
No, I was just thinking, the POTA bucket list, it could also be like a POTA New Year's resolution.
If you like those things. I hate New Year's resolutions. That's the one thing you will not catch me doing. All right, so if you like what you saw, please definitely make sure you subscribe, like, share this. I'm trying to reach 5,000 subscribers, so please pass this on. Let other people come be part of that, because we have some really cool giveaways coming up. I won't allude to them until we get closer to that number. I'm only 70 away, so can definitely use the help there, especially if folks like the content. And with that, make sure you check out all our sponsors. I mean, we've got Reliance, Magdog, Spooltenna. We've got Seed Studios, got a bunch of different codes. You can see all of that information over on my website at n1jur.com/discounts. So you can get some really great discounts from those guys because they help support the show, and they just want to give back to you guys to pick up some of their latest and greatest stuff. And remember, we gather here every Friday at 10 a.m. Going to be looking forward to see you guys next week. So with that, hopefully invite other POTA enthusiasts. Tell them to come hang out with us. We always love to see that. And until next time, as we like to say, keep your radios on, the PTT down, POTA on.
Yep, POTA on, guys.